can call to order, 6:07. Do you have a copy of the agenda you can throw up?
I do. Somewhere. Okay. Can you see that?
Yep. Okay. Item 1, discuss capital project schedule for summer of 2020. I don't know, Bob, do you want to intro this or?
Yeah. I can intro it and then Lou can jump in and fill in some of the gaps. But as you know, we're doing the water loom and boiler and the Metcalf safety project. And the Metcalf safety project is, it addresses the windows that are directly adjacent to the classroom door. So if you're facing the door to either the right or the left of it, there's floor to ceiling window panes. Some of it's mesh reinforced, but the chief of police from West Greenwich flagged that on one of his safety walkthroughs in the building. Relatively low cost and something to do our due diligence and address a safety concern raised by the chief. So that's the Metcalf safety project. The Walloon boiler project, that thing could fail at any given moment. It's rotted through from the inside right through the outside of the steel shroud that goes around it. So that's a well-warranted fix. Lou and his team have been putting all that together, and I'll turn it over to him. But, and again, you can comment on this too, Lou. They being RIDE is asking us for, backup documents to support the project going forward. And one of the documents that they're looking for is can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. One of the things that they're looking for is the granting authority to do the projects. And so with the chief of police, that email thread that we had going back and forth with him, it's pretty straightforward. We had discussed using the film. He said he wanted it, construction. The boiler was not as easy simply because there's no authority that really, I don't have a document showing that, an outside authority looked at it and said, you need to replace this as far as like a building authority or something like that. But then even secondarily for the good of the Corps, when the school committee, I have school committee school committee meeting minutes that reflect consensus to go forward with the $17 million bond project, of which both of these projects were embedded in there. And when that consensus was made at the school committee level, it was, again, with the caveat, the superintendent and Lee can probably verify that we were going to pull the Walloon and the Metcalf safety project out of it. I don't have a formal motion. And I just feel like RIDE is looking to throw anything in the way of us.
Well,
to make it more difficult.
Just to be clear, I thought that the two projects that we were doing this summer were associated with the current, not the $17 million that we're going to submit in September, but the current going to be handled in the current. What the heck do we call this stupid thing? Well, anyway, the current list of projects.
Yes, it is. It is, Lee, and that's what I'm saying. Initially, we were, you have to remember, you go back, we thought we'd already be into the bond project by now. We would have had a September 19th approval. And those projects were in there. We pulled them out, but it's not a formal vote. And Lou, maybe you can speak to it. Do you see that as a problem with RIDE?
No, I don't. Typically, what they want from that, and it's just a series of checkoffs that they have from that check of authorization or request from authority having jurisdiction, is that typically we submit the plans to the fire marshal, whatever project it is in whatever community, and we have a preliminary review with them. Historically, the fire marshal has not wanted to do that here because they feel we'll get the project approved, then we'll discuss it when you come in for building permit. So I think that's the, and when we submitted the stage 2, the big one, we noted that and documented all that. So I think that's the best approach, is making it clear that the fire marshal has a policy that he doesn't approve or review projects prior to us receiving approval, and that's when we'll submit that.
So that would be item 1 on their
Yes.
supplemental documents that we need to provide.
And then just if I could just get a little bit more into the details. So the security project that we send out to be cost estimated, it came back at $54,256. Then we added $4,340 for architectural and engineering fees. Then we have a contingency, bringing the whole total to $61,908. An interesting thing happened in that basically the construction at these classroom entrances is just wood frame with a glass, and didn't expect to address any hazardous material, no asbestos, but it was a good thing we went back and checked with the hazardous material testing company that was doing the boiler job, and they said they ran into some glazing that was positive in the past. So we had them go back and recheck that, and it tested positive. So there may be some adjustments to what I just described, and that we're going to be incurring a minimum cost for that asbestos testing. Then on the boiler project, the cost estimator came up with $205,934. The architectural and engineering fee is $16,474. We have to have a commissioning agent who we have been working with from the beginning of the project. That's $14,000. The hazardous material testing was $835. We also had a $10,000 owner's contingency. So that project total is $247,243. So we really wanted to expedite the issuance of the bid. So we send the plans as soon as we had them to RIDE, then follow through with the cost estimates. We've been kind of crossing emails, but basically this week we're ready to be able to go out to bid. So what needs to happen is just establish the pre-bid meetings, the bid due dates, and the completion of the project dates.
Question is the costs that we're looking at in the budget. I noticed I noted a couple extra costs that we really weren't planning on there.
Yeah, I'm gonna pull it up.
These are
We had the boiler at 350 by itself, so But let me just pull up this document.
Yeah, but I don't think we anticipated the additional costs associated with the security.
Yeah, we had that at
34.
Yeah, 34.
All right, well, we should be okay.
Yeah, I have a projected balance for 2021 projects, which is when this is going to happen, of 369,074.
Okay, right now we're about 315 or so.
Yep.
Okay.
Bob, do you have the school committee discussion? I guess there wasn't a formal vote, but there was some consensus that we were going to do those two projects out of the capital fund. Did we have dollar figures associated with those projects when we had the discussion at school committee?
They were embedded in the document, Jim.
Yep.
So let me just.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yep, that spreadsheet that we do.
Yep,
If you're worried about the school committee on this, as long as it's included in the existing, what was it, the 2.8 million that we've done like half of? Yeah, we had a vote on that, and that was a green light a long time ago. So as long as it's being covered there and we have the money, I believe we're okay.
Yep. Yeah. We'll continue to work with them. I think, Lou, I feel better hearing you say what you said regarding, the local authorities.
Yes.
I think there's two different authorities. There's the enabling, like what action did the school committee take? Lee, I like your idea of go back to the original MOA and kind of, rework that a little bit. And then I have the school committee minutes showing that the 17.8 was a go forward with that. And within that was these two projects that I can demonstrate we just pulled out and are doing under the current MOA due to the health and safety issue.
And Bob or Lewis, the boiler, was that in the Jacobs report as well?
I don't know. With me, I would imagine that it was.
Yeah, so that just might be another thing that we can use as evidence for why it needs to be done.
Yep.
If it's riding out in the pressure vessel, it's a bomb.
Yeah, I mean, we can also just send them a picture. That makes it pretty obvious.
Yeah, I did send them that photo. All right. We'll pull that together.
Okay.
So is there anything we need to do on this committee for the projects for this summer? Or was this more of an update?
It's more of an update.
Okay.
Right, Lou? I mean, I think we're looking for consensus to go to the street with the bid sooner rather than later.
Yes.
Yeah, go. As far as I'm concerned.
Okay.
Sounds like a consensus to me.
Yep.
All right.
All right. So do we want to move on and discuss the stage 2 in September 15th? I'm curious to see where all that stands with everything that's been happening.
I can, I've spent the better part of the day going over the stage 2 that was submitted in 2019, but that we couldn't get the town support and it never went forward. And now they've kind of has said, okay, pull back and resubmit in 2020, in September of 2020. So for historical purposes, there was a September 2019 submittal. And now we once we didn't get the town support, now we're going forward with the 2020, and we've scaled the project way back. We started at 95, we looked at 70, and we're settling on 17. So I just spent the better part of the day, and I can forward this out to the committee just so that you have it in front of you. And I just took all the expenses associated with the 2019, because Lou, I don't think you've done any invoicing for the 2020 submittal.
That's correct. We have not.
Okay. So maybe a place to start is, you know, where are we? What have we spent so far? And then, Lou, I'll hand it off to you going forward. So for the September 2019 submittal, we, the total spend was $196,400. And that went to 4 different entities. Torado Architect was $150,000. Frank Locker was $22,000. Frank Locker, remember, he did the 2 days of visioning sessions and follow-up help with us. The Cropper report, which RIDE requested, which got into more of a substantial forecasting about demographic student population. That was $6,000. And then Collier's came in at $18,400. So that was the $196,400. And I'll send you folks this document. And Lewis had submitted that to the school committee and to myself that a document for showing that the $150,000 for his fees for the stage 2 September 2019. He submitted that. He provided that to the district in November of 2019. And within that document, he's got for the stage 2 the stage 2 submittal for 2020 of $170,000 going forward.
Okay, Bob, hold on for a second, please. Allow me to clarify that.
Yeah, that's just what I have in front of you, Lou. So I just want to.
Yeah, okay, but I just want to say, so that is no longer applicable, in that we were looking at doing 70 million or 40 million. The fee for doing this stage 2 would be substantially less than that. And I can give that to you fairly quick. I just wanted to have a discussion with the committee about the fee and what you want us to include in it. Do you want me to go ahead and do that now? Ask the question. Okay. All right. If you all recall, one of the things that was never completed in the stage 2 submittal in 2019 was what's typically provided by the owner. And Collier's was going to be involved in getting prices from doing that. So those items need to still be completed. And they are mainly whatever additional parking we provide at the high school, we're going to need to do a site survey. And then there's going to be hazardous material testing for all of the projects. That was never done. And then there's going to be structural investigations for the 2 roofs that were changed. So historically, with Exeter-West Greenwich, I just get you prices from vendors for doing that work, and we use that, we include that in our fee. It saves you from having to go out to bid, advertise, all that stuff for those services. So once you tell me, yes, you want me to include that as part of my fee, then I can give you the total fee for what the stage 2 submittal would be. But I am thinking all included, it's probably between 80 and 90,000. The other thing that I had talked to Bob briefly about is we typically haven't had an owner's project manager involved in the preparation of basic health safety stage 2s. I just completed another one for Barrowville, kind of the same type of work that we're going to be doing in Exeter-West, Greenwich. We didn't have an OPM for that. Bride is satisfied with you stating that if the voters approve the project at that time, you'll go out an RFP for the services of an OPM. So then I would also do, as part of my services, the work that typically the OPM would do. We've done it before with you. We get great help from the school administration, so it's gone pretty smoothly. And that should save you some money too.
Could I break in on this? Because now you're getting down to the sixth subject, the OPM. I just want to say, I was going to address that, and I'm glad to hear Louis step up and say that he could include that as part of his architectural fees. And I think that's the appropriate place for this to be done. I feel that on this project, and probably most projects in this state, that an OPM is not necessary. It is redundant. All it does is raise the cost of the project, which can be better spent on putting it into the facilities itself. Again, I think the architect, historically, this is the type of thing that was included in an architect's fee. This is part of the architect's service. So I agree with Louis that I don't think an OPM is necessary on this project. And I think it's actually detrimental in terms of the lost funds that we have that could be better spent on the school itself.
Frank, unless I misunderstood, though, just so we're all on the same page, we're not going to have an OPM for the stage 2 submittal, but when we progress to stage 3, we're going to have to hire one, or RIDE won't let us move forward.
Well, I'd like to be on record that I don't believe we need them even for stage 3. Whether RIDE demands it or not, I would like at least be on record that to let them know that at least one member of this committee feels that it does not improve the production of improving the schools. It's actually it's a redundant, unnecessary bureaucracy. It seems that the state, unfortunately, has increased the bureaucracy in terms of producing facilities, not just for schools, but anything in the state. And as a result, they now want to put an OPM in place to help get through the bureaucracy that they created, which is just more bureaucracy. It's not productive, and I feel that Louis can handle this in stage 2, and I think the architect can handle this as well, just as well in stage 3. And I just want to be on record with that, because that amounts to a very significant amount of money for redundant services that are not necessary.
Okay.
I've said my piece.
Thanks, Frank.
Okay.
All right. So, I mean, I'm understanding from all this that we're pretty much moving ahead with the plan that you guys presented to the 2 towns and recently got the letter of support, and we're going to put together a stage 2 package for September.
Well, I want to discuss some more about what the stage 2 submittal is going to cost. Did I hear you correctly, Lou? Did you say it was going to cost $80,000 more to put the stage 2 submittal together?
Yeah, 80 to 90.
80 to 90, but okay, so that's all inclusive. I would think that architectural well, not basically, but without the owner's traditional cost for consultants, it would be about 75,000. When you add the hazardous material testing, the surveying, the inspections. Until I have real numbers from those consultants, I would guess that that range would bring the total from somewhere between 80 and 90.
So the $17 million, Lou, is a subset of what we almost submitted back in November. I mean, we were very, very close to submitting, except for the fact that we couldn't get the towns to sign off on letters. So what has changed that requires an additional $75,000 to put this thing together?
That's a
Lou,
very,
I don't mean to. Sorry,
No.
I don't mean to jump in. I just want to see if I'm remembering things correctly. Didn't RIDE somewhat change the requirements on us and vastly increase the amount of detail and backup they want for all the work that we had put together for the Stage 2 submittal last September?
yeah, that's true. They did that to every community. But
Right. I wasn't singling us out.
Yeah, no, but that's a very good point. So I can just go down the list and give you an idea of what additional work and redoing of work would do. So if we start with Wawaloom, the roof there, mainly what needs to be done for that is the structural inspections that that will need to be done. The playground at Wawaloom, we need to decide you need to decide what happens to the existing playground and if anything's going to be done there. Because all that area, if you remember, was all taken out by the proposed addition. Moving on to Metcalf, the same issue with structural inspections for the roof basement need to be done. Then the testing for the asbestos flooring replacement would need to be done. In the auditorium, they want us to do, okay, I'm sorry. Moving on to the middle school, high school. In the auditorium, they want us to do substantially more detail describing the scope of work that will take place there. Then in the HVAC project there, we will need to do actual structural layouts of the reinforcing that's going to be done for these units. The prefabricated building, I think that now that it's not connected to an addition, we need to go back and review what the best location for the greenhouse would be, do those drawings, and also there will be some surveying costs associated with those. The science lab upgrades, they want us to do more details. They actually had us do interior elevations for the last Stage 2 that we submitted that included lab renovations. The next item is the parking lot, and the cost associated with that is depending on where it ends up and what what survey will need to be done. We never did any surveys. So then that work needs to be recompiled, all of it, at the very least reviewed and adjusted by the cost estimator. No, he doesn't have to start from scratch, but there are going to be some adjustments, probably favorable given the current economic situation. And then it's the whole write-up of the proposal of the submittal is different because it's the other one used to be totally geared towards educational enhancements. This one's geared to health and safety. So if we hadn't done all the work that we've done, it would probably be like $150,000, but because of the work that we've done, that's really substantially reduced almost to half.
With some of the projects like the science upgrades, the greenhouse can be connected really easily to educational enhancements as well. I don't want to lose sight of that in case it
Okay.
is with an opportunity for another bonus.
Oh, good. That's a good point. Yes. Really, the auditorium too.
Yeah, exactly.
Can I ask a question? This is all in addition to the budget that we had received that was dated February 24th of this year. Is that correct?
Okay, so the budget that we submitted, it said in 2/24/2020, describes the scope of work. What I just addressed was really the scope of services that
Okay.
right that are different or need to be augmented, clarified, revised from the.
So that would be under the column under soft costs.
That's correct.
Those numbers would be adjusted. Okay.
This is all this is all upfront money. This is, this is money that we're paying now that,
Yep.
There's a risk of loss here if this thing doesn't get approved. We're into this thing now for 200,196 and another 80 before we even get to stage 3. I mean, shoot, for that kind of money, we could already built the building.
Are we hearing anything from RIDE or the state on likelihood of approvals changing because of everything going on?
That is the most frequently asked question when we have meetings with RIDE in other districts, and the answer has been that no, they have not heard of any effect, and they don't expect any effect because the bond money really is not part of the general finances of the state, but it's set aside as the bond money that was.
It has to be used for that purpose. I've heard the same thing, Lou.
Yeah, but in all fairness to the question, and thinking about the current state of affairs and what might be necessary to go back to school in September, are we going down a road that's subject to drastic change due to all these new rules and regulations that in this society we're currently living in don't seem to ever going to be changed? In other words, we throwing good money after bad until we get clearer direction. Hello?
Lou, when would you have to start to be ready for September?
Soon. I would say within a couple of weeks. It's just that we want to make sure, the process takes a while. We don't want to be rushed at the end, and we want to be able to have plenty of time to get back the cost estimates, be able to reconcile all. I would suggest if you might have a discussion with RIDE. Another community that had the same concern actually discussed it with the treasurer, and the comments to do is what he said, that there's no chance. They're encouraging people to go forward because the economy needs the work, and you will likely not get as good prices back that you will now for a long time.
Yeah, what I heard is that the key difference is that the money for the capital projects is generated from the bond, which was voter approved specifically for that purpose.
Yeah.
The budget is approved by legislature, and they also have the ability to adjust the budget, but they can't adjust a bond that was voted on by the voters of Rhode Island. So that money is not in jeopardy. Everything else is, but that is not.
And I'd argue no matter how much things change, at some point, we're still going to need to teach kids science. We're still going to want to have an auditorium. We're still going to want to teach the agriculture program. I mean, things are going to look different for a while.
We
Yeah,
definitely.
I'm not arguing that. That's not the point of my concern. The point of my concern is if my capacity now is half what it used to be, you know, do we need to really rethink the whole thing? You know, it's just like on the previous MOA, we were going to put in a repeat of our HVAC system. And then we said, well, wait a minute, if we're going to redesign the buildings, that, you know, we're going to have to do it again. I'm not saying we shouldn't move forward, but what I'm saying is, do we need to rethink the 17 million and how it's spent?
I don't know. It feels like deja vu. We were in this position a year ago with not enough time and having to make choices without all the information. But
yeah, well, yeah, we're in this situation this time because of forces beyond our control.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what? It could cost me another $6 million. Well, not six. It could cost me another $4 million in just busing next year if we don't have 20 kids on a bus built for 60.
Except that if that's the case, we're not going back. Because that'll be everywhere, and there are not enough buses, nor are there enough drivers. So it's just not happening.
Well, yeah, well, that's some of the news that my wife delivered to me today. It's scary, but at the same time, I mean, you know, if this was any other state but this one or the surrounding states, I would say that, you know, we'd be able to work something out and full speed ahead. But, you know, we're hell bent on dragging this out as long as we can here.
But I think my perspective is that we've identified kind of a really, really abbreviated list, and we pulled some of the key areas like the HVAC system. I mean, we may not go back to school in a normal environment at the beginning of next year, but at some point the kids are coming back to school. The roofs, same thing. I mean, we're not going to shrink the size of the school. The kids will return at some point in time, hopefully sooner rather than later. These are projects that need to be done no matter what, because we're in some cases getting real close to a point where we could have an emergency situation where we have to fund the
Like the boiler at Metcalf or
like
Wowloon?
Yep. The HVAC system is
The HVAC is a big thing.
That's
That
fine.
HVAC that's freaking brutal.
No, I know the HVAC's a problem. I know the boil's a problem. It just seems like we might be faced with a whole lot more. That's fine. Just full speed ahead. Damn the torpedoes.
I think there's savings to be had in the soft costs. I'd like to see a breakdown of what's in that soft cost other than just the architect's fees. That's 25% of the budget. That's an awful lot of money. It shouldn't be anywhere near that, in my opinion. Can I get a breakdown of what's in that soft cost?
Sure. Actually, it's pretty much dictated by right. They tell you how much to carry for contingency, how much to carry for owner's contingency, and then the rest of the fees are easy to describe. So we can get that for you.
Well, I don't mind the project contingency because, you know, this is existing structures we're working with. We're gonna stumble upon unexpected problems that are gonna have to be resolved, and it will cost money. But under the soft costs, you know, we got almost $2 million. What is included in that $2 million? I know one of the things I've already discussed is the OPM, which I think is redundant, unnecessary, and it's money that could be saved entirely. I don't think we need an OPM, quite honest. Even if RIDE demands it, I think we should put up some resistance to that and maybe get some help from other towns on that. It's a lot of money that's wasted.
I
Frank,
can tell you
I'm not
that,
even going to discuss the OPM with you. If Rides tell us we have to do it, we're never going to win the battle. We've got to do it. I'm done fighting City Hall when it comes to this crap.
But you know, if you don't stand up to City Hall, you keep getting dumped on. I think you have to draw the line at some point.
Well, Frank, you talk a good game, but I don't see you standing up to City Hall.
Lou, is the soft cost, that's not a guarantee it's gonna cost that much. That's just a budgetary figure.
yeah, it's actually the cap that RIDE allows. But in the soft course, architectural engineering, then there's going to be all the testing that I mentioned. There's going to be commissioning agent, and also that would include the OPM.
Right, but that's the max they would allow, and so it could come in less.
That's right.
For the max they recommend, yeah.
Can I ask a question? How is the OPM paid? Is he paid by a percentage? Is he paid per hour? How is he paid?
Typically, if you have a scope of work described, so you know what you're going to do and for what approximate cost, they will submit hard bids on that. If the project is not
a lump sum number,
yeah. But if a project is not developed to a point where you have a good budget, then you should propose on a percentage of.
and under what type of fee arrangement is this OPM working now?
Bob,
Is it a lump sum? Is it a fee?
Well, we don't have one right now. That's kind of what we got to discuss.
Okay.
Colliers, we cut the cord with the when we pivoted towards the 2020 submittal. Just not to beat a horse to death, but we needed to get to a place where we had a number. We didn't need, once we knew that we didn't have the votes for the 70 million or the town support for the 70 million project, we kind of disengaged from Colliers.
Okay, well, I agree with that move.
Yeah, and they provided us with an estimate for, going with the 2020 submittal, but we haven't, I don't have it right in front of me. I could get it, but I think that's why it's on the agenda item.
Okay, so that's one of the services that they provide is the cost estimates?
No. The cost estimate is provided by the architect.
Then I don't understand what we're paying the OPM for then. I mean, I agree that you've dismissed them at this point in time, but I just question the whole premise of the OPM, quite frankly.
The OPM's job during the submittals, Frank, is to do a design review.
With this committee or the school, but it's with the state that's demanding this another level of bureaucracy that actually costs a lot of money and does not help the process in any way, in my opinion.
Yes,
The purpose of
I agree
the
with you, Frank,
OPM
but
in this stage is design review.
Yeah.
I agree with you, Frank, but like Lee said, this is probably a battle we can't win. And, I mean, honestly, with the amount of money RIDE kicks in, they're more than paying for the OPM, so they'd be happy to say, well, pay for the whole thing yourself, and you don't need to hire an OPM. It's just not something we're going to win. So, at this point, although I agree with you, I don't want to keep talking in circles. And I agree with Lee that, we may be putting the cart before the horse, but we don't have enough time where we're going to know how this pandemic ends and how everything's going to fall and where the chips are going to lie. And these projects are pretty necessary. So unless we have some other direction or insight from the school committee.
I agree. We got to move forward. I was just hesitant because I didn't know.
I mean, before, these additional costs were always going to happen. We talked about this last year. Like, we're literally moving costs from stage 3 into stage 2 because they wanted more detail. And it's the same thing now. It's just now with the uncertainty in the air, you know, before stage 3 was a certainty, and now we're like, what's happening? But
well, that's the concern. I mean, we got, you know, we got to come up with another $80,000, which is we're putting at risk, and that's why I was thinking, you know, but it's okay. I mean, you know, I am going to suggest, though. This is what I'm going to suggest: we bring this additional $80,000 to the school committee Tuesday night, and we ask the school committee, or is it Tuesday or Wednesday next week?
Wednesday next week.
Okay, that's all right. So, but in any event, I think we got to bring this additional 80,000 before the school committee, because school committee is going to have to agree to take the risk on it. And you know, and also we probably, if we're going to do that, we might as well you know, make sure that the school committee is okay with the boiler work and stuff. You know.
okay.
Yeah,
I agree. That makes sense. You may want to go for, you know, upwards of 100,000.
Slow down the process at this point, but I think we should get the concurrence.
Well, I just want to. So the issue is nothing's on the agenda, Lee. So it's kind of hard to get a vote, but. So that wouldn't be until the second week in June. But I just pulled up a document. Jim, this is the one that we work on when we're preparing kind of the fiscal year.
Yep.
And this was 20 to 21.
Yep.
And we're targeting what's available for projects. And the document I'm looking at, FY20 architect fees, stage 1, 2, and visioning, $350,000 was approved at the school committee vote of 11/20/19.
Right, and we kept that money as kind of committed, but we did not spend all of that money. So there's already been a vote. We could do it again, but that vote occurred.
Right. So I just don't want to get caught up in revoting, you know, and all of that. You know, didn't we vote on this already? I thought we voted on that already. I can pull up the minutes were from, it's got to be in the minutes. I just have a notation that the school committee voted on 11/20/19 to approve $350,000.
Then,
stage 1 and 2.
Right, and we stopped the process early, but we never uncommitted those funds with the anticipation that we were going to continue to move forward. So that money has already been set aside separate from the boiler project and the safety project, which was a separate conversation. And that we put on too, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Are you satisfied with that, Lee?
As long as the total number to get us all the way through stages 3 and 4 doesn't exceed what was voted and approved, yeah. But if I'm spending $80,000 now, which is going to get me through stage 2, and then stage 3 and 4 is going to cost more because we're going to be going over that number, I can imagine that anyway. Then we've got a problem, and that's why I think it ought to be brought to the school committee's attention. Because right around the same time that we approved that, we also slammed the brakes on everything.
I mean, I'm happy to vote to move forward. I'm happy to vote to move forward pending school committee approval, but I'm not on the school committee and I'm not in the district administration. So this really isn't something I can decide. We just got to pick away and make a motion.
And Lewis, stage 3, stage 4 occurs after voter approval or before?
After.
So at that point, the risk is a little bit mitigated by the fact that we would know moving forward.
That's right. That's right. And then I just want to be clear. Also, if I could have direction on what we're doing with the 2 summer projects, are you holding off to get additional approval, or do you want us to go out to bid?
No, we have the money, and I thought the consensus was issue the bid ASAP. That's what my notes
I
show.
would say to go out to bid. All I'm saying is we should let the school committee know what we're doing.
Yep.
Okay, I'm clear on that.
Isn't the building committee report in the consent agenda in the next meeting?
I can put that in there. Yep.
Okay, so did you want to vote on moving that forward, or are we just going with the consensus that we're moving forward on that?
I don't know. What are we talking about? We talking about the issuing the bid?
Yes.
Or
I thought we'd settled that a while ago, like on this call, but it sounded like it was brought back up, so I'm just checking. If you're going to report to the school committee, do you want us to vote on it, or are we good?
I just want to be clear what the expectation is with the school committee. That's all, I guess. Like, what are we bringing there? It's just been my experience, Jim and Lee, you can correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe I'm being oversensitive, but like, members get upset when you bring back like a vote that's already been voted on.
I'm not questioning Bob.
Yeah.
Okay, this is the first time the building committee's met since what? February, January? And when was the last time we met?
Might have been last year.
It might have been.
It's been a long time.
It's been a long time. So there's a lot of stuff that's been going on. A lot of stuff's been forgotten. Okay.
Yep.
Now, my memory of the boiler and the safety project were that it was part of the 17 million. And I said, well, we still have open, but we had been discussing what do we do with the other MOA. So
right.
Why not move that? And essentially what we need to do is move that back. But if we do that, then it comes out of the 17 million and goes back to the current MOA, which is fine. But I think we just need to make sure that the school committee understands what we're doing. We have the budget. The budget's been approved. You told me what the number was. We're under that. We're good. But I think it's prudent, and I'm not saying we shouldn't go forward. I'm saying we should go forward because we're running out of time. I mean, it's June, for crying out loud.
Yeah, right. I think, and again, I think to Lee's point, it would be important for us to just go back to make sure that our memory is exactly correct. But I believe that we have documents to show that we had the discussion that these two projects would happen and that they would be separate from the bond and that they would be included as, that we would just pay out of the existing capital fund.
I actually think it was part of your budget presentation in February.
When we did the, yes, because we did not just the budget presentation, but the unassigned fund balance reporting that was connected to the budget presentation. So at that meeting, the discussion took place. We put those things in the spreadsheet, and there was consensus that those two projects would move forward. So
that I believe is true.
So I think that we just can pull up that documentation to say, as a reminder, here's the sequence of events that occurred. We're at the stage right now where these projects, which we all know are happening. Remember, this was one of the projects that one particular school committee member pushed us to do, the boiler project.
Correct.
Right? So it was part of a broader conversation. So we can pull up that documentation to remind everybody and then just report that, if we approve the projects to move forward, one of the necessary steps is it goes out to bid. We're at the point where we're going out to bid.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think that it needs to be that much more complicated, because if we approve the projects, obviously we're approving that they're eventually going to go out to bid.
I agree with
I
that.
just checked the agenda for the next school committee meeting, and the reports are not on there. So even if you wanted to bring it up, you'd have to put it in the following meeting.
But I think, Jeremy, there's a capital project update as one of the agenda.
I have an update, and there's an enclosure that walks us through, and we can just go back a little more historically. I think I pulled up the minutes. The motion is there. It's for 350, 250 by the district, 100 with the technical, 100,000 with the technical assistance. But I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I do not want to put words in anyone's mouth. The motion is bond stage 2, the capital project bond stage 2 submittal. So $350,000 for professional services for the capital project bond stage 2 submittal.
Yep.
Of which 250 would be paid by the district and 100,000 would be paid through the technical assistance fund, which RIDE is reimbursing us, and we're taking control of that. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, the beginning of this dialogue started with expenses beyond the stage 2 submittal. And that's not addressed in the motion.
Well, that's fine. But when did we pull the plug on this project? When did the $350,000 come off the table? I believe it was after that agreement took place, when we said all stop. We cut the cord with Collier's. Don't spend any more money. We can't get the towns to give us letters. At that point, as a just a logical individual, I would say that $350,000 is null and void. And that's why I believe it's very prudent to bring it back to the school committee and say, oh, by the way, we're going to move forward now with stage 2, and we're going to spend an additional $80,000 so that we can submit in September.
So I think if that's the direction that we want to go to make it clean, we would almost need to unassign the money that was not used from the previous vote, because when we stopped, we never unassigned that money. We keep it on the books as assigned for stage 1, stage 2 submittal. Like, it's not free for us to use. So you almost want to unassign that vote and then reassign based on the new number, just to make the flow of information clean.
That's fine with me. I just think it's prudent at this point that we identify that, because I believe the chronology was we approved it, then we put the brakes on everything.
Yeah, we did, but we never unassigned that assignment that we made. So
yeah,
on
but
the books, it's still there. But I understand what you're saying. I don't want to have a vote that assigns 80 more thousand without unassigning what's already there, because it makes it look like by school committee vote now we have $430,000.
That's fine. I understand what you're saying.
Yep. And if we wanted to do that, Bob, because the school committee meeting is on Wednesday, Robin can actually submit a revision, because we have the 48 hours without a problem. You know what I mean? So like you and I can touch base tomorrow and kind of clean up what the language should be and what we want the votes to be, and then have Robin just submit an addendum, because we have time given the Wednesday schedule.
Okay. We'll touch bases on a time to connect tomorrow.
Yep.
All right. Get it all ironed out. Good.
Does that sound okay, Lee?
That's fine.
All right.
So do we want to vote to move forward with stage 2 pending school committee approval, or do we not need to do anything right now?
I would say we could do that.
Okay, well, I will entertain that motion if someone will make it.
Sure, I'll make the motion.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Ayes?
Aye.
Aye.
Nays?
Aye.
Could, Jeremy, do you know who, how about motion and second individuals?
I was the second, Lee.
And John Rizzo, I made the motion.
All right, John, thank you.
And I saw all ayes from the voting members.
Yeah, it was unanimous.
James, you just want to restate the motion? Or somebody?
Yeah, we just made and approved a motion to approve moving forward with stage 2 for September 2020, pending school committee approval.
Great.
And this is school committee approval of authorizing the $80,000 for the cost associated with the submittal, just to be clear, right?
It is.
I
They may want to
don't-
be a little flexible on that number, though.
I don't even think we have to go so far as to say authorization. I think we just need to, make sure that the school committee understands we're turning this back on. It's going to cost $80,000. We have to unassign the money, reassign the number,
Yep. 'Cause
whatever
if
that
they-
number needs to be to
If they
cover
vote
us.
on that, then then obviously they're saying we're moving forward. I get I see how it flows. All right, that's good.
All right. The next item on the agenda was kind of discuss OPM, which we kind of did. But is there anything further on that we need to discuss now?
I think we could, so just two things on that. So Lou, we're not using an OPM on the summer projects, correct? We don't need that?
No, you don't.
Okay, I just want to be clear on that. And then the, going forward, I mean, it sounds like we can wait based on, the action that we just took.
Not
Well, I
sure I
think we can
understand,
wait.
Bob. Fill
We
in the
can wait
blanks.
because Lou said that we don't need an OPM to complete the stage 2 application.
That's correct. And I
Right.
think once you have voter approval, you will, as part of our application, we will state that once you receive voter approval, you will secure the services on OPM.
Okay.
Right.
I have a question on that as far as OPM services. Will the building committee through the school committee be able to weigh in on what the services would be and the fee arrangement, or is that all set by the state?
I believe that, we're going to have a role in selecting the OPM, and it's going to go out to bid. We'll get the prices and such. But as far as the services they provide, I think RIDE mandates what they have to do. Correct me if I'm wrong, Will?
I think that RIDE has a template of an RFP that most people use to go out. However, districts that kind of raised the same concern that is being raised here are told that they've never defined the services of an OPM, that you could limit it to whatever extent you want and just have them focus on certain parts of the project. Like, for example,
Well,
we should absolutely do that.
how about the fee arrangement? Since the committee is paying the bill, I think we should have a say in the fee arrangement for the OPM as well.
so typically a part of the RFP includes submittals of fees, and it's part of the criteria for selection. So you will be involved in doing all that.
And what that means is that when you put it out for bid, though, you limit the scope of work, which then would limit the fee structure. Is that
That's
correct?
right. That's right.
So that's where the work has to happen.
Yeah, some districts have substantially limited to just having some site visits during construction, and that's it. Kind of like the old clerk of the works approach.
Well, I would be in favor of limiting it to the maximum extent possible. Because like I said earlier, I do feel a lot of what they do is redundant as to what the architect's responsibility is and duties.
Okay.
The state has an MPA with a list of folks, firms that do it.
Yeah,
So
well, I mean, it sounds like we have options that we can take advantage of when the time comes, but we don't have to go there right now.
Right.
All right.
Beautiful.
Do we want to set another meeting date?
Yeah. Lou, we got to touch bases on the bid timeline.
Yeah, so I would think that it would be good if the committee met 3 to 4 weeks, depending on when we go out to bid, the amount of time we give them, and then give us a chance to have some scope reviews, and then come back to you for a recommendation to award.
And we can just report back on the relevant information from the school committee meeting that we have on Wednesday night. We can just send a memo on that, right?
Yeah, that's what I'd just send a memo out.
And then we'll get together once we have the more specific information about the bid and we need to award the bid so we can get moving.
Yeah, there's no point in
So
wasting.
what are you thinking for the time on the street for that bid, Lou? 2 weeks minimum, right?
Yes. Yeah, I would say 2 weeks, 3 weeks at most. It's pretty straightforward work, and it's not a general contractor. It should be pretty easy to put together.
So we're going to run into we could correspond with memos and issue the bid and everything. You want to have does the committee want to come back after the bid opening or prior or day of?
I would request that you give us a couple of days to do scope review so that we have the opportunity to recommend.
Unless you think it's going to go a lot faster, why don't we say Wednesday, July 1st?
Beautiful.
It's already open on my calendar.
I'm good with
Got
that.
That's fine.
Works for me.
All right, Wednesday, July 1st.
I'll put an agenda together. I'll do the minutes agenda. Good.
There a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Who was that, Lee James?
What?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear.
It was Lee that made the
Lee.
motion to adjourn, but I don't know who seconded.
That's me, John.
Okay, good deal.
Right. Thanks, John.
All right, the ayes?
Aye.
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 Aye. Okay, it's unanimous.
All right.
At 6 o'clock, I approve.
$6 o'clock, right, Bob? On July 1st?
Yep, I'll send out the agenda. I'll do the minutes and send out the agenda, and we'll go from there.
Okay.
All right.
All right,
Beautiful.
thanks, guys.
Yeah. Bye.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Bob, I'll connect with you tomorrow. I'm working remotely because it's on Thursday, but I'll connect with you.